Okay, welcome everyone to HUD's Office of Housing Counseling, Migration to the HUD Exchange. This is Shauna LaRue-Marai from ICF. I am pleased to welcome Jerry Mayer and Sarah Jarek to provide a welcome. Jerry?
Well, thank you, Shauna, and good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar on our new HUD Exchange webpage. There are almost 400 participants registered for today's webinar, so we know that you are all very interested in this topic. Today's webinar will help you learn about the new features and service improvements you can expect on our new HUD Exchange website. And this webpage will eventually replace our current HUD.gov website that you're all familiar with. But before we begin our presentation, I'd like to hand the mic over to Sarah Jarek, Deputy Assistant Secretary of the HUD Office of Housing Counseling. Take it away, Sarah.
Will do, Jerry. Thank you. And welcome, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Very excited about the work we've done to create a user-friendly and really robust set of resources for you in the course of changing our homepage to be part of HUD Exchange. I think you'll find today that the HUD Exchange platform will offer you a format and content that are easier for you to navigate and find information. More and more of our fellow HUD program offices are using HUD Exchange as a one-stop shop for stakeholders to find program updates and training, and this way you'll have access to all of the training offered by every HUD program. It's an easy and efficient way for you to learn not only about updates from the Office of Housing Counseling, but also the latest about other HUD programs and training opportunities that are available throughout HUD. I was very pleased to use HUD Exchange recently to find a list of fundraising resources uniquely tailored for rural organizations. And that's the sort of thing that you can expect to find once you take this trip through HUD Exchange today. For us, the project really reinforces a number of values we have. It helps us be more transparent, so it's easier for you to find information you need. It reinforces our partnership with other HUD offices and also with you. It speaks to our commitment to continually improve our services and programs, and it advances our collective mission to help get services to benefit consumers as they face housing challenges. Before I turn it back, I just want to give a special thank you to Jerry Mayer and to our team lead, Robin Penick, who has worked very hard to make this happen, but also a shout out to our wonderful collaborative partners at ICF, Shauna LaRue-Marai and Vicki Liu. And so with that, let me turn it back over to Shauna. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate all of the remarks. We are so excited to show you everything that we've built for you today. I will go ahead and present a couple of slides here and walk you through a few key components and what you need to know about the HUD Exchange, and then start the demonstration of the website. But first, I want to make sure that you know that we are supported by the fabulous Chantel Key. Chantel, you want to go over questions?
Sure, thanks, Shauna. So at any time during the webinar today, please type your question in the question text box. That text box can be found in your GoToWebinar toolbar. We will read your questions out loud after each section, and we will answer your question at that time.
Okay, great. And I would say that we're going to, if there's any sort of common questions that we're receiving, those are the types of things that we'll, read out loud. Hopefully we can answer some of them over the chat. So the first thing is that we want to do is take a poll question. We want to know what type of organization you represent. So are you A, a local housing counseling agency? Are you B, an oversight agency, which would include a HUD-approved intermediary, a state housing finance agency, or a multi-state organization? Are you a federal agency? I know we have other folks from HUD on the call, which is great, but it might be CFPB and others. And then finally, are you someone who just loves web pages and can't get enough demonstrations?
And the polls are now open. I know we've had a number of people submit their answer in the question text box. If you all will just respond to the poll so we can formalize your answer, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Great, and we'll just give it a couple minutes.
We have about 90% of the viewers that have voted so far.
Perfect. Let's hear the results, Chantel.
Okay, and right now I'm sharing the results with everyone. We have 76% voted at local housing counseling agencies, 22% voted oversight agency, 1% voted federal agency, and 2% voted someone who loves web pages and cannot get enough demonstrations.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, great. So most of you are locals and 22% of you are oversight agencies, which is a great audience. And I really want to know who chose D, someone who loves web pages and can't get enough demonstrations. Okay, so today's agenda is as follows. I'm going to walk through like the background and the purpose of the HUD Exchange. There have been many of the folks I've been working with over the years that have wanted to know a little bit more about why the HUD Exchange was built and also, you know, the overall purpose of it. So I will talk about that. I will also go into a little bit more detail about what's a user account on the HUD Exchange, why you might choose to have a user account. I will also go through the HUD Exchange, like how it's organized, just the general architecture, but the majority of the presentation today is on the Housing Counseling Program site pages, including how to find resources, how to find training and events, searchable FAQs, searchable resources, all of those things. So a little bit of background on the HUD Exchange. It was launched in late 2012. And it was formerly called the One CPD Resource Exchange. Some of you might be working in the community planning and development, which is CPD programs. Maybe you've known about the HUD Exchange. We worked for several years with that part of HUD to build, you know, as Sarah and Jerry said, a robust, really user-focused platform where people can find events, take trainings, find resources more easily, and also that kind of cross-connection between your office and the office that you work with, housing counseling, but also, you know, being able to find a grantee, for example, who might have, you know, home funds or CDBG funds or something else that you might be working with. So it really is meant to be a one-stop shop. And when it says HUD's customers, we're really talking about those that participate in HUD's programs. So we are talking mostly about grantees, in your case, or those that participate in the program. It's less about, you know, your clients or the public, the general public. That's what the HUD.gov pages, you know, will remain. It's a place where you can make sure that knowledge is being managed. Like you will find that there's the searchable FAQs. It's a common platform where everyone can find these FAQs more easily. There's enhanced data collection. We have a lot of resources on the HUD Exchange that are available to you. You know, maybe you're looking for something outside of housing counseling where you simply want like an inspection form or something like that that might be used by some of your counseling and home buyer programs. It's there for you. And it's meant to build, you know, your own skills, your own expertise, and definitely reduce your time and increase your productivity just simply trying to find a resource or to get answers to a question. And then it is designed, the HUD Exchange was designed and delivered by ICF. Sarah mentioned that a number of offices currently use the HUD Exchange. We thought we'd provide these to you before I start the demonstration. Community planning and development, that is the part of HUD that's like the home program, the community development block grant program, and other programs that you might be working with as housing counseling agencies. We also have a presence from Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. I will show you the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing resources that are available to you on the HUD Exchange. Obviously, your office that you work with day to day, housing counseling, the housing office. There is the multifamily programs have a presence on the HUD Exchange. So, you know, those that have like project-based, Section 8, things like that in like affordable rental housing. Public and Indian housing, so public housing agencies, they've also just gotten onto the HUD Exchange. So you will see those as we go through. And the goal here is, just like these other offices that you see on this page, is that there will be an abbreviated presence on HUD.gov where you will see many redirects to the HUD Exchange. And if we have time, I'll show you what that would look like, that Jerry and Robin and I will be working on to make sure that anyone who's going to the HUD.gov pages, there are redirects there in case it is your favorite page that you've bookmarked. It'll help those bookmarks go to the HUD Exchange in the future. So I just want to make sure that you know that your bookmarks are safe. They will be redirected. And then finally, the email that folks receive from Jerry that's super helpful, that comes out a couple times a week, that will still be maintained on HUD.gov. And then also, I'm sorry, that's the mailing list. And then also housing.counseling@HUD.gov, that email box will also remain on the HUD.gov pages. So I wanted to cover quickly, there is a piece that I will demonstrate called a user account. And a user account is what you can use whether or not you want to register for HUD training. You can access housing counseling webinars and online training. And you can, it's user focused, so there's a learner transcript that you can take a look at to see, oh, did I have to stop what I was doing in the middle of an online training and then go back to where I was so that I can complete a training? You know, that's there for you. In terms of the housing counseling webinars, you can get credit for prior webinars. There are a bunch of housing counseling webinars that you'll be able to view, enroll, and get credit for that training that will become part of your learner transcript. It is not necessary for you to have a user account if you want to do like basic navigation of the housing counseling HUD Exchange pages. So to find a resource, you don't have to have a user account, but I think you'll find that having a user account will help you register for future trainings and get credit for older ones, that type of thing. So I'm going to break here. I wanted to provide the website addresses so you could also add these to your bookmarks here, the hudexchange.info, and then also the specific program for housing counseling is also provided here. So we will go into the demonstration today. So in terms of the general kind of architecture of the HUD Exchange, again, it's almost HUD-wide. This front page, there's usually like a different picture that's focused here. It's really today focused on homeless programs here in the front. Some of the bigger trainings, or in this case, the middle section here, the National Disaster Resilience Competition that was just announced, grant-based accounting, affirmatively furthering fair housing. These rotate depending upon what the most popular aspect of all HUD resources would be. So that's there for you. Some of you are really good about wanting to know like the best place to refer a lot of your clients that you counsel to find homeless assistance, find veterans assistance, all of these types of things that are provided here on the front page. It's right there for you. Across the top here, we have, this is a home program. Manage a program is what we're going to go into next. There's a news feature. There's training and events. Get assistance, which really isn't used by housing counseling. It's where some HUD programs, people are to ask their technical questions here. And about grantees, I'll show you a couple of things related to that. It's not all grantees, just some of the grantees so far. So let's go ahead and get into manage a program. This is the main place that you would go where you would want to find resources by type of program. There's also plans, like you'll see the consolidated plan is listed here. There's also other kind of cross HUD requirements such as environmental review and things like that. But housing counseling is down here. You'll see the housing counseling program page. So I'm going to spend the majority of the demonstration on this page just to make sure you know what is here so that you can walk through this yourself. So we have here at the top, like obviously this is housing counseling and it's for you. A little bit on how to learn more about the housing counseling program. If sometimes when people want to address realtors or new lender partners and things like that, sometimes there's language here that can be borrowed to talk about what is housing counseling. You guys are the only ones that have an embedded video that talks about how housing counseling works on your page here, which is exciting to see that. Some of you, might be looking for, you're the housing counseling agency, but you might be interested in how to find other housing counseling agencies in your network. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, but most of the resources are on the HUD Exchange, but in some cases right now, there are redirects here to the HUD.gov pages. So this is a pretty important page for some people trying to find how to find a housing counseling agency in their jurisdiction, or maybe another neighboring jurisdiction, and then obviously you can search by those that do HECM counseling as well. There's also the locator app here that's also featured. Some people like to pull up that app and put it on their phone. You can also search by zip code, which is another HUD.gov page. Some people, this is a place where if you want to provide feedback, or you might encourage somebody to provide feedback on housing counseling, that is there for you as well. Probably the main place where most of you are going to go to get your resources is underneath the housing counseling program. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and show you what's there. This contains the basic information related to all HUD housing counseling agencies. So the first one here is how to become HUD approved. There's a short page here about, that HUD approval process that's there for you. The certification information is also provided here as the next link that provides the actual regulation, the comment period, as well as the proposed rule, and some frequently asked questions related to the certification. The two main forms for your program, the application form, the 9900, and then the 9902 Housing Counseling Activity Report. There's almost always a landing page here that is on the HUD Exchange, and then if you click on each of these, it actually goes to the HUD Exchange resource that you would see. So this is the 9902. The final rule for your programs, this is 24 CFR Part 214. Frequently asked questions is here. I'm going to show you that from the main page, so I'm not going to click on that right now. I will also show you this intermediary and state HFA page. The handbook is also provided here. It's a quick, easy way for you to find the handbook. Capacity building toolkits is also here, so that each of these resources, each of these capacity building toolkits are right here for you. This one is best practice for expanding housing counseling services. All of these are now on the HUD Exchange. And soon we'll be adding a couple for oversight agencies. I know some of you have been waiting on those. So we'll be adding those, and you'll definitely get Jerry's email that says that those are available to you. Housing Counseling Advisory Committee, National Industry Standards, things like that, HECM mortgage, counseling. I'm going to cover a couple of these on the other page, but I just want to let you know that the ones that are the most important resources for your program are listed here, a click away from the main page. There is a separate standalone page for those of you that are the oversight agencies, so HUD approved intermediaries to HFAs are listed here. This includes the list, and it will periodically be updated, of those that are HUD approved intermediaries. So if you're looking to join, you might be a local on this call, you're looking to join an intermediary or find out a potential partner in your area. Multi-state organizations are listed here, and then all the participating state housing finance agencies are also provided here. Some of you attended a meeting that was held in August of 2015, so all the materials are provided here. And other resources that are added for HUD-approved intermediaries and state HFAs will also be added to this page over time. Okay, those of you doing HECM counseling or home equity conversion mortgage counseling, this is an example of a page that we set up where we grouped what you needed to know underneath resources, for example, that talks about the HECM program in general, who's providing HECM counseling. this does go back to the HUD pages in a couple ways. Any program changes, guidance that's provided, all that type of thing. There are HUD intermediaries providing HECM counseling. Those are also listed here for you. The eligibility requirements, if you want to do HECM counseling, all of these things, you'll see it's a pretty flat setup here to find the most useful information about HECM counseling. So if you're interested in the HAMP program, making home affordable, disaster recovery assistance, predatory lending, those are other related topics we separated just so you knew that they were related, but they weren't exactly the housing counseling program. There is a webinar archive. This is where I mentioned that we would have all of the archives that have been presented for housing counseling over the last, this goes back to 2013, but it's the most recent ones that you need to know. Some older ones on the NOFAs have been removed. We put them in the most recent date order here. So if your colleague, for example, missed today's webinar demonstration, next week it'll have February 8th, and we will have all the webinar resources for you. This one, for example, on submitting a budget that was held earlier in January, you can see the slides, the transcript, and then the attachments that were provided. This is what we've done for every single course. And I'll come back to this button here once I go into user management, but if you want to get credit for this training, this is the button that you would follow, and we'll demonstrate that in a couple of minutes. So you'll see these go all the way back to 2013. So if there's something that you're looking for, these are the most relevant, the most up-to-date. We did not include older webinars that there might have been some changes based upon the content. The training and events calendar, if you go into the training and events calendar directly from the housing counseling page, it is going to pre-populate where it says program and then housing counseling, but you could also go into another program if you're looking for any type of webinar, in-person training. Basically, the majority of what goes out in Jerry's email every week, that will pre-populate this listing of what's on the training calendar. So it might be that you'd rather just search here to find the type of counseling or the type of training you want. You can search by type, webinars, in person. You can even do the date range here for what you're looking for. But that's if you go directly from housing counseling to that page. We also have this training partners page. This might be helpful for many of you that while we are going to have many courses in training and events for you, you also probably want to, this is a direct link to NeighborWorks training that's happening, NCRC, and also National Council of La Raza. The top three are HUD's funded agencies currently underneath the Housing Counseling Training NOFA. And then there's a few others listed here related to some FHA counseling, financial literacy, some HUD webcasts, single family, things like that that we thought were the most salient in terms of training that you might be looking for. At the bottom here are news and announcements. So this is what happens each time we get Jerry's email. It pre-populates on here so that you know these are the news that are coming out. Again, you're still going to get it in your email, but what if you can't remember the date that Jerry sent it? You can search your email, but you could also search here as well. This is only going to provide the last like 6 or 8 here, 6. I can add 6 latest news, but you can also click on View All Housing Counseling Program News, and you will see everything starting at the top from 2016 all the way to the last part of 2015. Okay, we were able to get 2016 on here, but if you want to go back even to 2007, we have the mailing list archive. This is amazing for you to go back and search to try to find. You can search this page so you can find, maybe something came out of the 9902 that you want to find that particular news item. But this goes all the way back. I'm trying not to do this too quickly. I know sometimes it makes folks a little sick when you demonstrate, all the way back to 2007. Okay, great. So those were the news items. So let me walk you through the rest of the page, and I have a few other things to focus on for you. In the upper right-hand corner, maybe you have a colleague who is not getting, or you're not getting, the mailing list from Jerry. This is the information to tell you how to subscribe. If you're a counselor and you need technical support, here's, of course, the housing.counseling@hud.gov. And then information on whether or not you want to bulk subscribe people. Maybe you're a new organization, you want to bulk subscribe everyone in your organization. You could also unsubscribe yourself as well. And then this also gives the same link that I just showed you on the mailing list archive. This is a very popular question, I guess, that folks get at HUD is how to subscribe to the Bridge newsletter, which is a great resource if you haven't checked it out in terms of the latest information about, they pick different topics each month. So one for veterans more recently, disabilities. There's also a fantastic one that was done on fair housing and really furthering fair housing activities. So each month there's like a different topic that is covered. So, so this includes, again, if you want to find quick way, what was that Bridge newsletter article that I thought I read? You can search and try to find that here. And you can also search really quickly to go straight to 2013, for example, on the page. So that's the Bridge, how to subscribe, but also how to obtain prior versions of the Bridge. So those of you that want to look at the Housing Counseling Certification, Housing Counselors page that gets you ready for the certification once that hits the streets, this is the Housing Counselors, the HUDHousingCounselors.com website. So we want to make sure that was front and center here on this page. I'm not going to click on this, but this is the same page I showed you before about the certification requirements, proposed rule. So one thing to keep in mind is that I've mentioned, I think twice at least, that there was a couple ways to get to the same information. The reason for this is that people like to find information in different ways, and we want to make sure that nothing is lost, that you as the user don't have to remember or bookmark 20, 30 different web pages on HUD.gov. Everything is here for you in a pretty flat platform. Same thing we mentioned before about the link to the regulations. This goes directly to the government printing office. The handbook we mentioned, that's on the HUD Exchange. You click on this, you go to the HUD Exchange. What we haven't talked about are the frequently asked questions. So let's go into the frequently asked questions. So I want to make sure that folks understand these are what was on HUD.gov. There was a series of PDFs provided that were the frequently asked questions. Those PDFs then were combined into this searchable database. So if you're looking for all of the housing counseling FAQs related to the 9902, for example, then that would pull up here. Ineligible participants, if you're looking at qualifying to be a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, that will also pull up just by some keyword searches. Or fees, if you're looking for fees related to housing counseling, what are the ins and outs of those fees? Oh, I see, they also have separate FAQs for HECM as well here. So you can search here at the top for the fees. We also put together, though, these 4 big buckets of various FAQs. So let's say you're looking for financial management. This is the one that's available today. We will be adding some additional ones here, but reimbursements are listed here. HECM counseling, if you click on this, all the HECM counseling FAQs will appear related to either fees or HECM counseling requirements. Program requirements, we separate into conflict of interest, things like that. Again, there's fees here, housing counseling agency approval, there's a bunch on that. Reporting and record keeping. So we also wanted to make sure that we were capturing everything you needed to know about reporting and record keeping. So this is something that will build over time. What is not here are the the Housing Counseling Certification proposed rule FAQs, because those are about the proposed rule, which there will be a final rule in the future. So we did not put it in the searchable database. You will also see that the NOFA FAQs are also not here because those also will go away over time because they're related to that year's NOFA. So let's go ahead and go back to the housing counseling page, which you can do. Oh, one more thing, sorry. You can also export any of the FAQs into an Excel workbook in case you want to search for what you're looking for there. Some people find that helpful. Some people have used an export of their FAQs also for their own policies and procedures. So let me go back to housing counseling. I think because there's almost 400 of you, this is running a little slow, so hopefully it's not coming through too bad. Everything you want to know about the NOFA process is underneath grant administration and awards. So if we go to grant information, you will see, similar to what I showed you with the HECM pages, what we did was we provided a pretty flat place where you can go through and look at, okay, for 2016, obviously there's the general section that's open. What if you're looking for information related to 2014 and 2015? So you'll see the NOFA requirements. You will see information if it was a housing counseling training grant. And then you'll see obviously the Federal Register notice, but then we also put the FAQs up here in its own section, so you could also find those related to, in this case, 2014 and 2015. Some general information. This is, if you're like, I can't find my, page where I've put in the system for awards management, or I don't remember if I got, an award, last year, or I don't know if my agency. We have housing counseling grant awards all the way back to 2000. So if you want to go back and look at those, these are the press releases associated with each year in which housing counseling funds were awarded. But that was the general page. The Dun & Bradstreet, locks, e-locks, all of these things hopefully will be helpful for you to find something pretty easy related to the NOFA. If you're looking for older information or you like to time travel, we have the 2013 NOFA that's available here in a pretty flat format, and then also 2012 as well, where you've got some information about the NOFA, the awards, that type of thing. And as newer NOFAs are published, we'll make sure that the prior years we just build upon this page. So you have 2014, 2015, which will come next. So that's the housing counseling grant information page. I provided you with the grant awards already on the prior page, but you can also get to the grant awards from here. Systems and reporting, let's go on to that next. So systems and reporting, so there is a page that provides an overview of the housing counseling system, or HCS. You also can directly log in to housing counseling here as well. I'm not sure why that just happened. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this page. As I mentioned, there's a few of you on here. So housing counseling, the overview page, let's go to that. Very similar to what you saw for the NOFA pages as well, where it talks a little bit about what's HCS, technical support available to you. To try to find that help desk number, again, you don't have to try to find your that on the HUD pages. It's right here for you. And then information related to resources for the housing counseling system. So that's HCS. The client management system, this also provides you with information on the housing counseling system. If you have technical assistance that you're needing related to CMS, these are like the requirements for the 9902, as well as any information you might need about CMS, information about the form, the 9902 desk guide. There's also a fantastic webinar if you haven't taken that happened in September that provided a lot of tips related to the 9902. In that particular webinar material, it goes right into the PowerPoint. So if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. So that's CMS. So I want to make sure that you saw that. Okay, further down on the program, or I'm sorry, further down on the page there is a 9902 kind of results pages that HUD has these national reports on the 9902 by quarter. The latest research and studies, this is also a really exciting part of the HUD Exchange for housing counseling, is that there are a series of the most recent programs, studies, research that was conducted, that type of thing. So Housing Counseling Works, Sustainable Homeownership, for example. You might remember that this was on the HUD.gov pages. It talked about how housing counseling is effective in terms of post-purchase and pre-purchase counseling, and it relates to a lot of studies. One thing we did was we actually provided the PDFs in this version of the this version of the PDF so that you go directly to the website for each of these studies. It's something we added into this PDF. This is something we can easily do on the HUD Exchange to make sure that you can quickly find the information as quickly as possible. Okay, so that was Housing Counseling Works, Sustainable Homeownership. The State of the Nation's Housing is the Joint Centers page related to this past year's State of the Nation's Housing, which goes into the latest, trends in terms of homeownership rates, rental rates, underserved populations. There was also a webinar done on this in the fall by Chris Herbert, who's the chair there. The National Foreclosure Mitigation Counseling, NFMC, this program evaluation is housed on the NeighborWorks page. We provided a direct link here. HUD datasets, this goes into HUD datasets related to income limits and things like that if you click on that link. There is a page here at the bottom that talks about the Housing Counseling Federal Advisory Committee, about applying for membership and things like that. This is a page that will be, growing over time related to what is going on with that particular committee. So more soon on that. So that's generally what the page looks like. Wanted to make sure that you saw that. If you wanted to go ahead and set up a user account, and I mentioned the user account would be to get credit for any type of housing counseling training and events, you would click on, log into my HUD Exchange. This is already pre-populated because I already have a user account name. This is my college nickname. If you want to create an account, you would click on this. So let me show you that real fast because I have this set up on the stage site for you. So you click on the, set up a user account. This is a one-page setup to create a user account. I pre-populated this just so we wouldn't spend too much time here and have information here, obviously fake information. I actually live in Columbus, Ohio, not Washington, D.C. You have to have the state name populated here. For that, you would obviously create a login and password, but you need the state information because what we've done is I'm going to click on HUD Grantee, and what we've done is pre-populated all of the housing counseling agencies here based upon a run from HCS that provides the organizations that are already participating in the housing counseling program. So it's really important that that you choose the correct organization type here. So most of you are going to be HUD grantee. Sounds like a couple of you might actually be HUD, and you would click on there to create an account. But going back to my page, when I mentioned here, I just want to show you just for a second. You're going to see some things that, because I work on the HUD Exchange in many different capacities, that won't apply to you. Once you have a HUD user account set up, then you could go in here and check out your own learner transcript, the HUD Exchange Learn. So each piece of the HUD Exchange is done by user, and each of the users, I'm sorry, somebody's calling on the other line, so I'm cutting out. Each of the users have an ability to look at, what training courses are coming up for myself. I could also search, and as I did, the course catalog. You can search here for housing counseling and find out the latest ones that are housing counseling. So let me just pick one here. Perhaps you want to, go through this LHCAs, like best, practices, lessons learned from those LHCAs. So if you search and you found this, you clicked on it, you have to go ahead and enroll here on the upper right-hand side. This tells you like how to log in and things like that, but you'll also get an email as well. If you log in and you enroll in the course, and then you would go in and follow the directions as to how to take the course. If they're webinars, it's on the honor system, but you might find an online training. Jerry's been featuring financial management that's available across HUD. It covers all the HUD programs. That financial management training, here you would say this is not a webinar. It would say, take the module. You go ahead and take the module. But no matter what, after you enroll, you want to mark as complete to make sure that you mark as complete so that becomes a part of your learning transcript. So that way, once you have a user account, you can check out, okay, what are the classes that you have enrolled in? What have you completed? The difference between enrolled is that maybe you haven't finished it yet. You started the financial management training and you're not finished. And then those that you've completed, you could also click on those. So having courses here at your fingertips, HUD is able to also run reports to find out how many people, attended various trainings. It's all like again, one-stop shop, and you probably are doing, maybe a few other things related to, the work for your organization. Maybe you have other HUD programs that you're working on. Okay, great. So I'm going to go back to the HUD Exchange. I was showing you on the stage site, but I'm going to go back to the normal page here. Or I'm going to attempt to. Okay. So, so that was a little bit about user account that I wanted to show you. So now it recognizes you at the top. One thing that's different that I just want to make sure that you know of, this email updates in the upper right-hand corner. The email updates would be if you wanted to get the HUD Exchange email updates. This is not the same thing as what we showed you for the housing counseling updates. That still comes through the mailing list that we talked about before, but you could click on that and you can choose, like maybe you're interested in like Early Furthering Fair Housing or some other type of program. You can click on there and say, I want email updates on a variety of different mailing lists that have gone out. Okay, so I want to make sure that you knew that. Contact us is about the HUD Exchange, any feedback about the HUD Exchange, etc. So I showed you manage a program. This is why I'm on this page. We're going to spend just a couple minutes here. So outside of housing counseling, if you want the latest on Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing, and you want to click on this page where you can get the latest information about the final rule information. There is resources on the most recent tool that was unveiled at the end of December. In case you missed it, this tool is just for localities, entitlements. It's not for state programs yet. That's coming soon. There's a guidebook, things like that that you could, go into if you would like to know more about Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing. Lots of training and things like that that's available. Other things in Manage a Program that you might also find helpful, obviously some of the other CPD programs like Home and CDBG have their own pages, but also the Consolidated Plan. So some of you that are working with your local jurisdictions or your state may not know that there's a whole section on the Consolidated Plan. You guys don't care as much about, what is it, how it's put together perhaps, but what I wanted to feature here is there are available, this is through the program that they use, the system called the Integrated Disbursement and Information System, IDIS. You could go ahead and search for a specific grantee's consolidated plan. Maybe you want to see if there's a funding that's available for housing counseling. This is a great place where if you want to search, I'm based in Ohio. If you want to search, I did not select the state. I will select the state. if you want to search to find out those that have consolidated plans and action plans, etc. So you want to go ahead and do that. So for the state of Ohio, for example, you could check to see the state plan, etc. The annual action plan updates, how they're going to spend their money each and every year. But it might be helpful to find that for your jurisdiction. If they're in IDIS, then we have them. If they're not in IDIS, then we don't have them. But as action plans and comp plans are getting updated in IDIS, we get a refresh. The financial management, I mentioned that a couple of times, that this has been something that's on Jerry's website for a number of months, where if you want to go through, it's not specific to housing counseling, but there's great information related to financial management that you want to take a look at. It's there for you. So that's financial management. If you're interested in just a little bit on like the homeless programs, things like that, it's there. We have a little bit about voucher programs, have some resources as well. So rural, I want to click on this for a second because it's something that that Sarah mentioned, where this is all things rural. It's meant to be like a one-stop shop. It's like a mini communities of practice where you can find out information about just things related to rural programs. So there's this peer learning that's available that you can sign up for a mailing list. There are case studies, information about the SHOP program is here. Things like that. There's also been a number of announcements related to USDA, SHOP, the Rural Gateway. There was a peer conference call, things like that. So, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, there's information there. And then I think we do at the bottom here. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. There's a bunch of other, again, this is going to point you back toward some places at HUD, but if you're interested in other areas, other rural programs, those are provided there as well. We're going to do more and more of these communities of practice. That's just an example of one that was put together for the rural folks. So, so that's manage a program. If you want to go into kind of broad news, you can do the same thing that we talked about here. It's not pre-populated with housing counseling, but you can choose topics that you want to cover. You can also choose by programs. You can come in here and put in housing counseling, and it'll pull up the latest news items related to housing counseling, so you can get the news there, things like that. Training and events. This is where I said on the landing page for housing counseling by program, and then also by housing counseling, it was pre-populated, but you can also search here to find out the latest, training and events as well. So they also give you view your learner transcript over here. Same thing if you had a user account that I just talked about. The Get Assistance page I mentioned is not really used for housing counseling, but it is a place where you can get the same links that you can from the landing page. About grantees, there is a way, so let's say that you want to find an organization that is working for the local, like continuum of care perhaps, or if you're looking for an entitlement grantee like in a jurisdiction, like I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So if I want to look up, the organizations that are working in Fort Wayne, Indiana, again, this is not all organizations, but it's some organizations, then you can search by program at the top if you want, or it can provide all the ones for Fort Wayne, for example. And, again, let's your local agencies there. You can find out information here about, who's actually working in the Community Planning and Development Department, my friend Heather. And it's also great to, this is an email address. Some of these we have web addresses for individual entitlements and things like that for jurisdictions. So in case this is helpful to you, we thought we'd show you quickly about grantees. This page is also one of those that will be enhanced or developed over time. Okay, let me show you the search feature. You might notice any page we go to on the HUD Exchange, you will always have this search. So let's say I am looking for the 9900. You don't have to go into the manage a program and then housing counseling. You can go ahead and and pull up the 9900 just from the search criteria that you put in. This is a simple search over here if you're just putting it up in the upper right-hand corner, but you can see that some of these are put together, by program. So you'll see you can find the housing counseling program. You're like, yeah, maybe I didn't remember the form name, but I'm going to look in housing counseling. You can click on that. It narrows the results. You can also narrow the results at the bottom here by reports, FAQs, resources. Let's see if they have FAQs related to the 9900. Wow, look at all the FAQs that are here. So if you're not sure what you're looking for, or I'm not sure because I use the search all the time, I don't know if I want the FAQs, I don't know if I want this, but that way you can kind of collapse the results into what you're actually looking for, and that provides that for you. Okay, great. So you can clear all and you can go back. I wasn't looking for an FAQ. I was actually looking for maybe there's guides and trainings that have been done, for example. Okay, this is not the right one for that one, but you definitely can find the form. You can find the FAQs. You can find various things that have been put together, and this will populate over time as well. There's a few other trainings that we're going to add related to the 9900 and the 9902. Okay, so with about 5 minutes left, and I don't know, Robin, Jerry, Sarah, if you guys want to make any brief closing remarks here. Is there anything in the question, Chantel, that you think is a salient point that we want to mention here in the last few minutes?
Well, we received a number of questions from our participants asking if the slides were going to be available and if the email links can be provided to everyone.
The slides will be available. What we've done for the past webinars that we've provided is we will definitely make sure that Jerry has a link on his email that goes out. And then also when I mention on the training and events, I mentioned that you probably saw that there was the February 8th demonstration. You'll be able to go into there and get the slides and information as well. So there's 2 ways to get it.
And there's about 10 questions in the question pool. Mm-hmm. There's about 10 questions in the question pool right now. How did you want to handle those?
Well, give us a flavor as to what's actually there.
Okay. Someone wanted you to just go over briefly. Will the HUD.gov website no longer be available, and the HUD Exchange will be the replacement?
Okay, so real quick, just to make sure folks understand, there will always be HUD.gov pages. Those pages are going to be abbreviated, and there will be redirects to the HUD Exchange. The HUD.gov pages are used for not just you guys, but also for clients, the public, etc. So there's always going to be a presence on HUD.gov.
Okay, the next one is, how do we update the information for our agency on the page? Our agency is listed, but the address and other information has changed.
Okay, so that's easy. You can actually update your address and information by simply going into your user account and updating it. So underneath, I don't know if you, so the first page underneath my account, I can update it has the personal information, you just update it right here. If for some reason you're having difficulty with that, you can always email us in the contact us in the upper right-hand corner if you're having difficulty.
Could I just jump in and add to that?
Sure.
If you're referring to your listing, that's reflected on your on the HUD.gov Find a Housing Counselor website, you can change your information in the HCS system as well to what Shauna described for your user information on HUD Exchange, but for your agency information that the public will see. If you go into HCS and revise your profile, it will pop up on the web page shortly thereafter.
Thank you for saying that. That is what populates this page that is underneath Find a Counselor. And this is all, there's a reason why this is on HUD.gov. It pulls directly from HCS. Thank you, Jerry.
Sure.
And you might just want to check both, just to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Okay, we have another question from, they wanted to know if they can use some of the links to the resources, if they can put those links on their own website for the public to access, such as the research articles, or do they need to go through another avenue to put the links on their website?
So that's a great idea, and no, they do not need to go, as far as I know, no other avenue. That would be a great thing to provide people. So just use all of our links, no problem.
Do we still utilize the HCS site for our 9902 verification?
Yes. Jerry, do you want to add to that?
I'm sorry, please repeat the question.
Do we still utilize the HCS site for our 9902 verification?
Yes, you do normal business through HCS. That's not changed.
So if people are submitting their agency information to HCS each quarter, their system information should be correct on this page. Is that correct?
Yes, but they should check their profile to make sure their contact information is correct.
How do we get credit for this training?
You can set up a user account first, as I showed you, and then you can go ahead and find the webinar either through training and events, or you could also go into the webinar archives, because this will populate with the February 8th archive webinar that we're having today. And then there's a Get Credit button. And don't forget, once you hit Get Credit, you have to enroll first, and then you have to say completed the course. There's a couple of steps in the process. Great question. Others?
Where is the link to the HCS for 9902 reporting?
The landing page for the HUD Exchange has an overview page of HCS and then also a login. So the login is what you can use to go into HCS.
Someone also asked about mortgagee letters. Are they here or on HUD.gov?
Okay, so on the housing counseling main page, I just went into the resources for housing counseling, and I went into, this is a link to mortgagee letters, but it does direct you to HUD.gov. Basically, the way to think about it is this is not managed by housing counseling, it's managed by another part of HUD. So in this case, it'll just direct to those mortgagee letters, and then you can, in this case, search by year and things like that, but it's important that it's on HUD.gov.
Can paralegals of the Organization of Legal Aid Society create an account to have a running record of training and obtain resources within the organization?
Anyone can have, anyone who is doing business with HUD can have a HUD user, I'm sorry, a HUD Exchange user account. No problem.
Will the access to HCO change?
HCO?
That's Housing Counselor Online. It's one of the client management systems that are commonly used out in the industry. And the move or the migration to HUD Exchange has no effect on HCO.
Or any client management system.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions? If you didn't get your question answered, please go ahead and let me flash up the last slide so people can see this. We do want some evaluations. This is the link that you should use. It just happens to be called surveymonkey.com. And then any questions that you have, please email into housing.counseling@hud.gov. Or if you happen to be working with point of contact, you can certainly ask your questions there. Thank you so much for everyone attending. Jerry, Sarah, Robin, you want to say thanks?
Well, thank you, everybody, and we really appreciate you attending today. And Sarah, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you also. I hope you all got a lot out of it. We look forward to your feedback, and thanks again to everyone that worked to launch this website.
Thanks, everyone. This will conclude the webinar. Have a great rest of your day.